Hey guys, this is bringing you another video. Welcome back to Patch Notes Breakdown. Obviously here on Huzzy Extra is where Patch Notes begin. I will also say if you could do me a favor and like the video and comment, helps boost the video in the algorithm and kind of let especially people from Huzzy Games channel know that this is happening, because there are still some people that haven't made it over here. It's worth knowing. So when it comes to content, I'm a little bit ahead on content at the moment. So for the next few days, you'll still be getting 1419 content. But yeah, that's kind of normal, I guess. But anyway, let's get into it. So just to say what they're doing, it's basically follow up on the start of Split 3. We're overall quite happy about the new pace of combat and reduced snowballing. But there are surprisingly a few outliers after changing about 100 items. We're sharpening the early game crit AD carry item system. So again, crit AD carries have been toned down. On hit AD carries are pretty good. But they're retuning Collector, Essence Reaver, Static Shiv, and Yuntal. The Yuntal has never seemed very good. We're also straight away nerfing AP burst items, unsurprisingly, as they're one-shotting people with a little too hard and bringing down some AP jungle clear speeds as well. We think this will help AD carries come back up in power and generally empower non-mages in most roles. Again, the first time mages have genuinely been strong in like 2 years. Instantly nerfed. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. This is also, we're kicking off LoL Player Days patch to celebrate League turning 15. And while we're not dropping any new games like they did in the 10th year anniversary, and obviously it's worth knowing for other games in the League world, remember they have closed Riot Forge. So like where majority of the other games that have come out in the last 5 years, majority of those are Riot Forge projects. And obviously not all of them, Legends of Rune, Valorant, they're not. But the other stuff, all the single player stuff, that was pretty much all Riot Forge. So there'll be a lot less games coming out again from Riot. But we're also having the Teemo ASU, ready check penalty adjustments, MMR changes, and the 2024 Worlds Clash. So, nerfs to Mundo, unsurprisingly. Jin, Mordekaiser, Poppy, unsurprisingly. Singed, haven't seen a Singed, I don't think, in this whole time. Shyvana, Skarner, Udyr, unsurprisingly, and Veigar. Buffs to Aphelios, Caitlyn, Corki, Lee Sin, Nefari, a lot of AD carries. Pantheon, Riven, which is weird. Tristana, and Trinimir, and then hilariously, and I will say it is shocking that these two buffs have gone through, Yasuo and Yone. It is mad. Like, genuinely, it is insane that those buffs have gone through. So, if I actually very quickly on my other monitor, so this is pre-patch. In high rating, these two champions are good. Yasuo and Yone are good. Maybe the average player can't really pull them off, but in higher tiers, they are good champions right now. So if I change to Yasuo, if I go to Diamond 2+, he's got a 48.4% win rate. And so some people go, yeah, how's this negative? That's what this champion should be balanced around. Riot themselves has said this even in recent time, and they finally, in the last year and a half, started thinking that way, that some champions are not balanced at a 50% win rate. Some champions, the very nature of them, they are balanced around being about 48-49% win rate. Usually, hyper carry late game, harder to play champs. They shouldn't have a positive win rate all the time because they are high skill, high risk, high reward, and he's got in the window that you'd expect a Yasuo to be. And then Yone, let's see what Yone is at. So we go Diamond 2+. Yone, Yone is the worst example. Yone in Diamond 2+ is currently sitting at a 50.5% win rate. And again, he is exactly the same as something like a Yasuo. He should be balanced around a 48% win rate. He's getting buffed. So, gonna just straight out say, Yone, especially in this upcoming patch, is going to be busted. Like, there's no if, buts, or maybe. He is going to be broken. So he'll probably be 100% nerfed in high rating at the very least. Anyway, let's continue. We are getting a mythic anniversary skin by completing LoL missions for LoL Player Day, which is the severe skin that's kind of dressed up as a Teemo, which is cool. But again, it's a severe. Again, who really cares much about severe? But anyway, so what they're saying here is there are 10 total days of reward for you to unlock. Play a game to complete a mission to get a reward, you know the deal. So you'll have until October 28th to grab basically it. So play one game each day or wait till the very last one and play all 10 in a row. So that's good. You don't have to play, you know, every day, but you just have to play consistently. But I presume you will have to play on day 10 to get to day 9 to get the skin, and then day 10 to get it. And obviously, yes, you could wait until day 10 of the event and play 10 games to get all of this stuff. But if you miss out on day 10, let's say you played 9 days in a row, you'll get all this stuff. But if you don't play on day 10, you won't get this. So you make sure you keep playing if you can. We also have a fun dev Q&A live stream on October 9th. So that's tomorrow, which is kind of cool. But again, it seems it's not really a proper serious one. Oh no, plus the chance to ask League devs your burning questions. So that's cool. So if you've got burning questions to League devs, tune in on Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok. So firstly, we've got the Teemo ASU. I will play a game of Teemo probably in the next few days to see what it's all about. So that's cool. And unfortunately, when it comes to ASUs, because it's modernizes skins and the quality of them, it does increase the price of certain things, and Teemo skins are no exception. Ready check penalty adjustment. So yeah, there was a really annoying bug, and I thought it had to be a bug. When you didn't accept a game or something, a big error message came up. It was a bit obnoxious. So last patch, some players received penalties that were too harsh when declining or missing the ready check due to a bug in the system. The bug was causing players to progress through the tiers of penalties far quicker than intended, leading to long queue suspensions, even for minor offences. During 14-19, we reduced the rate at which players were receiving more serious penalties for continuing repeatedly declined ready checks while we're working on permanent fix. If you're wondering, like, what's with that? You know, you can get dodging. They've tried to hurt dodging, even though people still do it a lot. Why would you decline, or, you know, why are they going for the ready checks, declining ready checks? Because it's a form of, in higher tiers, and again, it doesn't really exist in lower tiers because there's too many players for it to exist. But basically, you know, match fixing. If you're both in Challenger and you can't duo in Challenger and you both queue up at the same time and your queue pops the same time, you're going to be in the same game. But if that doesn't happen, one of you just goes, oh, my queue didn't pop, I won't accept this game. That's why they're doing it. So it's to do that. But yeah. Ranked. Last season, we made it a bit too easy for players to hit higher ranks, and the number of players in equivalent ranks across regions varied too much. As a result, we wanted to make some of these higher ranks a bit harder to achieve this season, so ranks are more comparable across different regions. As a result of this change, some players' placements were a little bit harsher than intended, so we're walking it back a bit. This patch, players should see higher LP. Cool. Apex duo MMR restriction will be turned back on this patch. To support better service performance, rank ladders will be now updated every 10 minutes. Okay. But yeah, so I will say it really shocked me when I did the Mundo's Nurse placements. I got Emerald 2 after the first game. That was weird. That was a master account. And then the Huzzy account, which finished Diamond 4, got Emerald 4. 2 tiers off, but 4 tiers in well, 5 tiers kind of in difference in rank. It didn't really make sense, but I guess that's this. I am planning potentially go back on the Mundo's Nurse account the end of this week, just to see if it has made it a bit better. So we'll see when that happens. Right, champion changes. Aphelios, base health is going up. Passive also, the bonus attack damage when you leveling up your passive, you get more bonus attack damage. Yeah, he was hurt by the Collector's nerfs. It's worth knowing, but if Collector's getting buffed and he's getting a buff, that could double buff, basically. That could be scary. So look out for Aphelios. He's never really going to be mainstream because he's a much harder to play AD carry than the average. But in higher tiers, Apex tiers, he could be pretty damn strong. So there's that. Caitlyn. Oh my god, sorry, a storm is outside. Jesus Christ. I can hear the rain with headphones on and my window is closed, I think. Okay, that's rain. Apparently there might be a hurricane coming here or something, so that's fun. Caitlyn, attack speed ratio increased. Q secondary target damage also increased. So again, probably similar to Aphelios, that, you know, her more modern build was going like Collector and stuff like that. So Caitlyn isn't hitting her targets at the moment, and part of that is driven by her lack of game plans. She's no longer a premier lane bully and doesn't have a great late game sustained damage either. So yeah, she's kind of in a no man's area. So her attack speed ratio is going up, and her damage of her Q, but not for her primary target, when it hits the secondary, it's getting a 10% damage buff. So again, definitely helps in lane phase if you're hitting, you know, both the AE support and the AD carry. So there's that. It'll help a bit, but it probably won't help a lot. Corki, again, very hard to balance Corki. I remember watching, I think, a short of August. I'm sure you all have opinions about him, but I think he is a very knowledgeable designer. I think just sometimes his choices are a bit much, but he's knowledgeable. And he himself said 2-3 champions that have, never really hit the mark and they have problems. He said was Gnar and Corki. These are 2 champions that he was unhappy with because they basically are either in a complete loop of being really terrible, or if they buff them up, then they're completely just pro play, stuck in pro play jail. So they're saying here, we want to help Corki safely exit pro jail, but he's on parole. So basically, if they need to be careful, because if they do a bit too much here and there, he's just going to go back to pro jail. And again, what's pro jail? It's when pros will pick or ban him 100% of the time. And also, a lot of the time, these pro jail picks make the meta quite stale. They're not exciting. So his Q is mana cost is going down. And sorry if you hear Maya. So that will help the early game. It used to be 80 mana all ranks. It's staying at 80 at max, but obviously by then you'll have items to deal with it. 60 at rank 1. And then Valkyrie. Oh, that's pretty nice. So the base damage is staying the same. The AP ratio is staying the same. He is gaining 150% bonus AD ratio, which he had 0 before. That's nice. That will actually make his W deal decent damage. And then the Gatling gun also being buffed in terms of lower mana cost. So a lot of mana changes, because obviously they don't want to make his damage obnoxious, but 1 damage buff on a W ability. And the idea of the W ability, it puts him at risk. If he's Wing on top of somebody, he's at risk. So you can kind of see where the min-maxing of what to buff, what to nerf, that kind of makes sense. That's cool. Mr. Mundo, E bonus attack damage decrease. So when tank items get stronger and overall damage goes down, Dr. Mundo gets very happy and starts to go wherever he wants. But now he's overpowered. They actually have just said the word and going places he shouldn't. So we're going to rein in his damage while preserving his high-end tankiness. So I will say, on recent patch, tanks have been doing too much damage, and a big part of that I will also say was Heartsteel. I'm not sure Heartsteel's getting a nerf. Let me just quickly scroll up here. Heartsteel's not getting a nerf. That's interesting. So like Tam Kench is really strong right now too. But anyway, bonus attack damage of his max health. So again, 2 then to 3%. Well, it's now 2 to 3%. It used to be 2 to 3.4. So it doesn't seem like a lot. 0.4% of a nerf. But when Mundo has 8,000 health in late game, that's a decent amount. Probably still going to be quite strong. And again, it is where, like, mentality-wise, you also, you have to know where Riot's coming from. A lot of the time, I can hear Maya mooing downstairs. A lot of the time when they're doing nerfs and even buffs, they're not wanting to make something like Mundo. They have said it themselves. He is overpowered. They don't want to take him from being overpowered to then absolute garbage. You can't play him at all. Mundo players, Fraz in our community, I'm really sorry, but he's just now garbage. They don't want to do that. They want to take him from being overpowered, and they might even want to just keep him strong. They don't want to annihilate them, because that's not fun. The goal is to try and make every champion playable. And, the thing with metas... and you could say in the last couple of years, a lot of the same champions have been strong, and a lot of same champions have been metas, where years ago, there were peaks and troughs. Literally, like, people, I would say nowadays, are more hardcore one-tricks than they used to be, because back in the day, people would go like, oh, I just can't play that champion now for like 6 months. Okay, I'm going to jump on something else. People have been one-tricking the same champ for 3 years, and if it's one of the popular champs that have stayed meta for 2-3 years, they haven't been punished at all for doing it. Like, that's fine. So yeah, Mr. Jin, AD growth decreased, R damage decreased. So Jin has been pretty good for a while, and to be honest, this makes sense. Taking his AD damage growth to 4.7 to 4.4, I think Jin himself would like that, because obviously 4 is his favorite number, so that makes sense to me. But yeah, that's fine. Like, his damage has been pretty damn good. He's been consistently too consistent. That's probably the way to define it. And then his minimum damage of Curtain Call is going down, so the very least amount of damage it can do is going down, so it's doing less damage. So there's that. Lee Sin, base AD So again, one of the problems of Lee Sin, he was hit very hard in this patch. But one of the problems he's got is, again, his scaling. If you ever want to bring Lee Sin back to League, and I say literally back to League, he normally gets little buffs when like Worlds happens and stuff because he's a very fun champion. But you have to remember, he was like legit the poster boy champion of pro play for like 3 years in a row, from like season 3 to season 5. It was Lee Sin's time. Riot purposely, and they have said it out loud, they purposely kind of got rid of him from then because people were kind of bored, or like at least Riot was. But if you want to bring back him to the forefront of League, you need to affect his scaling. You need to give him better scaling, because otherwise, he is good early and he just is a utility bot in late game. It's not good enough. If you can't compare him to some of the modern equivalents, like they are just better. So that's his issue. But it will help a little bit, especially for Lee Sin players who want to snowball early game, because base damage is an early game nerf. As early game buff. Mordekaiser, Q single target bonus damage decreased. So again, Mordekaiser, AP melee champions have been a big winner of this last patch. Tanky has also been a big winner of this last patch. Mordekaiser is a tanky AP melee champion. He's been a double winner of this last patch. So they are nerfing him down a little bit. 10% on all ranks of his single target damage increase. And again, some people don't realize that Mordekaiser's Q is like Kha'Zix's Q, where Kha'Zix gets isolation damage, so does Mordekaiser's Q. If you are the only thing it hits, so no minions, it's just bonk hits you, it does that increase of damage. So that is getting nerfed. So yeah. Neela, E cast time reduced. Used to be a 0.01 second cast time, is now instant. Don't really know that's going to make much of a difference, but I guess we'll see. Pantheon, W damage increase. So again, damage increase for an early game champ. Again, not surprised that early game champs have struggled a bit with this patch. Because again, when the game tempo goes down, which it has, then early game champs they don't have as much impact. The game isn't as quick for them to snowball in the early game. So his W damage is going up 1% of target's maximum health per rank. Pretty good, especially that a lot of things are getting a lot of health at the moment. So that's cool. Poppy. So again, it's definitely been way too strong recently. Not sure I'd use the overpowered word, but borderline. So her passive, the cooldown of it is going up by 3 seconds at rank 1, 2 seconds at rank 2, 1 second at rank 3. So nerfs across the board for her, throwing her shield at somebody, doing a bit of damage, and also she can pick it up. Q. Damage cap to monsters is going down. No, up. Ooh, they're buffing Poppy. They're buffing her jungle capability. And then her E, which again, her E was the big thing that kind of pushed her over the edge in support a bit. Her damage of it is only going down 10 per rank. Oh, Poppy's still going to be fine. Yeah, legit. Poppy is still going to be fine in the support role. You're seeing here, they're nerfing support. Poppy uses this a lot, but will give compensation for the jungle. This is fine. Again, like I said when I spoke about Mundo, their goal here potentially is not, let's just annihilate Poppy. She cannot be played support anymore. She's been too strong. They just keep her okay. She's still playable, so that's fine. That's not a big enough nerf to wipe her out of that role. Riven, I'll say I'm a bit borderline if this should be buffed. Again, Riven to me is exactly like Yasuo and Yone. She is not a champion that the typical person should be good at or can play. But when you actually have someone that is actually talented at this champion, she is incredibly scary. And I played against a Riven a few days ago. She won the game 1v5. It might be uploaded, I don't even know. But she won 1v5. Literally, she beat us 1v5. And everyone, even in my Twitch chat, was like, she's getting a buff. And we were like, okay. And that's the thing. Riven players must be licking their lips right now because, she ain't weak. Genuinely, she isn't. You just got to be good at her. And again, this is, I think, where some people get a bit confused and stuff, is champions like Riven, like Yasuo, like Yone, where they get affected by a patch, but they're still strong in the hands of good people. That's kind of the point. Is a lot of champions in the last 1 to 2 years have been too consistently easy to be good. they're not supposed to be. A Riven is not supposed to be easily accessible for people. A Yasuo, a Yone, they're not really supposed to be easily accessible for people. So they get affected by a patch. People are up all in arms. But realistically, they're the players who are up all in arms. They probably just aren't very good at the champion. Like, genuinely, in the nicest way possible to say, they probably just are not very good at the champion. But in the last 1 to 2 years, the champs have been too easy by default. And the patch changes that, and now all these players are like, I can't play the champ anymore. Yeah, no, because you were never good at the champion. This is actually how the champion is supposed to be. But there's that. So her Q damage, which obviously is her main real thing. Whoa, she's getting a 10% damage buff on her bonus AD of her Q. Oh, that is scary. She's also getting recommended rune updates. So again, that's for bad Riven players. Like I just said, this is more for bad Riven players because the actual champion is fine. For good Riven players, this might push her over to the edge. So again, hilariously, Riven mains, Yasuo mains, Yone mains may not like this patch because if it does put them into an unhealthy state of balance, they're just going to get perma-banned. Then those mains will not be mains anymore because the champion will be never playable because it will be banned all the time. So there's that. Shyvana, WAP ratio decreased, RE burn damage decrease, and RAP ratio decrease. So again, even though she has a ranged ability, as I said earlier, AP melee champions have been a bit of a winner of the patch. And that is also Shyvana. So her movement speed is going down of her W, which is based off AP. Her E, Flame Breath, obviously the big boom, is also going down. How is it doing? It's the dragon form, not the human form, obviously. They are doing, so it's a flat damage nerf, 20 damage nerf for both the min and the max, and that's it. That's not too bad. Only 20 base damage. That's not too bad. And then the R, ooh, that's bad. So jumping on people, which again a lot of AP Shyvanas don't do. It does a stupid amount of damage if you actually do it though. It's a 30 AP percent ratio nerf, so that is a big nerf. But hilariously, not many AP Shyvana players actually use it properly. Not many of them actually jump on top of people, even though it does a lot of damage if you do. Singed, armor growth decreased. Again, AP melee champ, like Mordekaiser, similar to that, is just making him squishier. But again, I maybe, now that I think of it, have seen one singed. And he didn't seem that good. Skarner, passive damage decreased, E damage decreased, again, similar to Mundo. Again, Skarner, Dr. Mundo, and Tam Kench have been the 3 big winners of damage plus Heartsteel. It's weird. Maybe just Tam Kench isn't played enough. But then, again, the common denominator, all 3 of these use Heartsteel, and that's not being nerfed. It's weird. So his passive, max health damage is going down 2% based on your level. So that's a pretty big nerf. And then the E... also, it used to do 8% of Skarner's max health, and it's doing 6% of Skarner's max health. So again, it is linking to Heartsteel, because that's directly giving you health and damage and all that stuff. Why don't they just nerf Heartsteel? That's just, to me, seems the common denominator, but okay. Tristana, so we delivered a micro patch for Tristana a couple days after 1419 and went live, and it looks like with critical strike builds, she's performing just right. However, her level 1 spell ranges weren't increased to match her attack range. Oh, that's quite bad. Yeah, okay. So that's all. It's just a hot fix to make her like, oh, your E is actually the same as your auto attack, where it was actually less than your auto attack. So you actually had to use, for your E, you had to run forward a little bit, and your ultimate, you had to run forward a bit. That doesn't make sense. That's fair. Tryndamere. Again, everyone hates when this champion gets buffed. Attack speed ratio, which obviously is a major thing for Tryndamere, it's going up. Armor growth increased, so he's getting tankier. Again, wouldn't be shocked if he turns into a regular ban, because again, nobody likes playing against a Tryndamere. You can make, arguments about playing against a Mundo, playing against different things. Nobody likes playing against Tryndamere. Like, nobody. It's not fun. So there's that. Udyr pretty much has become the #1 jungler because, again, think of it, AP melee champion once again. It's the combination of things really strong this patch. I'd say the strongest people this patch have been things that are tanky that also can do damage. That's Udyr. That's Mundo. That's stuff like that. And AP melee. Those are the two big winners. I don't even think mages were the big winners. I think mages were like number 3 if you wanted to put winners in a class. I think number 1, tank stuff. Number 2, AP melee. Number 3, mages. So there's that. So Udyr, his awakened Q damage against monsters is going down, just to calm down his jungle clear. His E, bonus movement speed, is going down to make him less kind of obnoxiously fast. And then the big thing is awakened R damage against monsters is going down. So not damage nerfs against people, which is a bit weird. But I think part of his problem is his jungle clear was faster than every jungler, basically. Then you couple that with his crazy movement speed of his E. He was just basically, for playing, let's say 2 junglers are playing exactly the same skill, exactly no jungler's playing better than either one, but if one person was on Udyr and they're playing exactly the same, Udyr just had the complete advantage. He's clearing faster, he's moving faster, he can do objectives faster. He just had the advantage on current patch, so they're just calming that down. He's still probably going to be a bit annoying, though, I will say. And again, there's a lot of Udyr players. I've actually moved to ban him every game. And a lot of junglers, when you look at the enemy, main banned Udyr, main banned Udyr. A lot of people have become Udyr mains recently. Veigar, W damage decreased. So his AP ratio is going down by 10%. Again, doesn't impact him, but you have to remember when Veigar gets to the likes of 1,000 ability power pretty much in most games, that's kind of okay. And again, stuff you have to remember with the game being slowed down, it probably has affected average game time. The average game time, I would imagine, I've had some 50-minute games. I've had 3 or 4 50-minute games this patch. I didn't have them at all, literally, in the last year. I'm not even kidding. I didn't have any in the last year. I've had 3 or 4 of those in the last 2 weeks. So stuff like Veigar, who benefits from games being slower and games going longer, it makes sense he's going to get a bit of a nerf. That makes sense. Also worth knowing is some people go, oh wait, weren't there Anivia and Aurelion soul nerfs? Yeah, they got scrapped because they don't need to be nerfed. Yasuo. Ooh. Hilariously, again, Yasuo was unsurprisingly hit with crit itemization become weaker. Again, they're buffing, and this is where people will say, Huz, like, it's not too bad. They're buffing the crit elements of these 2 champions. So both of them are getting crit elements. That's kind of the point, is neither of these champions are building crit much anymore. They're building like Blade the Rune King, and they're actually going kind of tanky. That's the problem. And those are not going to be impacted at all, obviously. And I doubt these champs will change. Their crit builds are higher risk. You could say higher reward, but not really. But they're higher risk. You do more burst damage going crit Yasuo, crit Yone, but you get one shot if you make one mistake. If you go Bruiser Yasuo or Yone, and you're going Grasp the Undying, you're going Blade the Rune King in a Stride Breaker, you're really strong in a 1v1, you're strong in team fights, you don't get one shot if you make a mistake. That's not, this buffs are not going to do anything to stop people doing that because the other build is simply too strong. So these buffs, again, they should still probably not get the buffs, but if they wanted them to go back to crit, what they need to do is nerf the other elements, that what they don't want them to do. Okay, you don't want them to go Blade the Rune King first item and then Stride Breaker and run Grasp the Undying. Change that then. But they probably won't. So there's that. So we've got AD carry item changes. So it's getting cheaper. Essence Reaver. So already it's worth knowing they nerfed items. Just reminding everyone, they nerfed items, making them more expensive on average and all this stuff. Straight away, AD carry items are getting changed. So more affordable. Yes, it's giving a slightly less attack damage, slightly less ability haste, but again, the spike of getting it is worth more. Collector, again, the one exception to this, I would say Collector did become garbage. I will say that. Collector was really bad. Collector had no right being an item that cost 3,400 gold. That was bad. So they're buffing it, and you could be like, oh my god, it's 450 gold cheaper. That's insane. Yeah, you're getting 50 attack damage less. Where I would potentially make Collector 3k, and I would even say keep the 60 attack damage, make it a 3k gold item. But yeah, I'll even say that was bad. Static Shiv, the attack speed is going down. I think they're trying to move people, by the way, out of building Static Shiv first. It's very boring. Like, the thing with Riot, like, they're not dumb in some areas. they don't want to do metas that make the game boring. And if both AD carries have a static shiv, the meta in bot lane is boring. And you're like, why? Because when both AD carries have static shiv, their wave clear is really strong, and all both AD carries do is, oh, they use static shiv, you clear the wave, you walk backwards a bit, you wait for the next wave, and you do it again. That's all you do. That's boring. So I think they're trying to phase out of static shiv rush a bit. Yuntal, it's still probably a bad item, let's face it. So it's getting cheaper, slightly less attack damage, slightly less serrated edge damage as well. I still don't see people buying this. It just doesn't seem good. Items, Fated Ashes, so damage per second to monsters is going down, so that will mainly affect Udyr, probably, and Lilia. But those are the main two, really, that do that. And yeah, there's like, you know, Karthus and Brand, but the main two I really see that affecting is Udyr. Well, Udyr is the number one, and also Lilia. Same thing for Liandry's, so again, any champ that rushes it, Amumu even rushes it, but again, this is more of a hit to Udyr. So the fact that Udyr has had nerfs to jungle clear on his Q, his R, and now Liandry's, it's going to slow him down a lot. But he's been obnoxiously faster than every jungler in the game at the moment. Ludens. Ooh, what are they doing? Fire damage is going from 60 to 75, but with also an AP buff. Oh, repeated fire damage was 50% initial damage, now 20% of initial damage. The maximum single target damage used to be doing 210 plus 14%. AP is now 150 plus 10. So it's less burst. So yeah, it'll be a bit weaker against isolated targets, but do more damage overall in other situations. Okay, so it's better in AoE, better for wave clear, better for team fight, but it's worse for 1v1 burst. Storm Surge, 5 AP ratio nerf, and the squall damage is going down, both. 25 damage. Again, 25 damage is more nerfs than other stuff has had by a lot, and also a 5% AP ratio. God. Thorn Mail, less armor, more thorn damage, but less bonus armor. So again, it's just been too tanky. Runes, phase rush. Whoa, massively nerf for ranged. Well, not massively. A bit. A buff for it for early game ranged, but a nerf for it in late game ranged. And then the melee movement speed is unchanged. Grasp the Undying. Ooh. So this. Again, Grasp the Undying, remember, Yasuo and Yone have been running Grasp the Undying too. So Grasp the Undying has risen to a point where it's becoming a dominant rune even on fighters. We're refocusing the rune to be more about letting tanks and juggernauts use their health pools rather than letting squishies become tankier. So Yone. So the healing, it doesn't give you 3 healing minimum, but it gives you 1.3% max health healing, and it breaks even at 3,000 max health. Max health per stack used to get 7 or 4 for ranged. It's now 5 or 3. So again, nerfs technically. Nimbus Cloak, decaying bonus movement speed was 12 to 35% based on summons, so it's now 14 to 40%. So again, Nimbus Cloak is still one of the movement speed things. Obviously, remember, movement speed on average has been nerfed this whole patch or last patch. So it getting a movement speed buff is nice if you are a champion that wants to use it. So there we go. ARAM stuff, Ultimate Spellbook. I've not played one game of it. Worlds Clash, October 14th, and then the tournament will be October 19th and 20th. I'll try and play. So yeah, I'll try my best to be free that weekend. I think that's an F1 weekend, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I'll try to do that, and we'll try to make content for you guys. Mythic shop rotation. This makes me happy. Obviously, I play Shaco quite a bit now. The Shaco one is here. I didn't get it on its release, so I'll be able to get it now. That's cool. I like that. And there's that. So that is it. So we've got Miss Music fan Gragas, cosplayer Nico, esports fan Trundle, Genesis Nightbringer Yasuo, and Anniversary via missions. But that is it. That's the patch. Not too terrible. Again, it's not going to shake up the meta a lot. You know, these aren't massive changes. I think it's okay. I think on the most part it's okay. I will say, you know, the initial few days of this patch got me quite down. I've tried, especially in the last couple of days, to, you know, be a bit more chipper and be a bit more, you know, play the modern stuff a bit. You know, there's only so much that I can agree with, but I'm trying, you know, making an effort, and it has gotten a bit better. So yeah, but that's going to be it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think of the patch. If you think that anything's missing, if there's a champion that should have got a buff or a nerf. I still personally think Tam Kench himself should have got a nerf, or at the very least, Heartsteel should have got a nerf. That's a bit weird to me that it didn't. But anyway, that's going to be it. If you guys enjoy, do throw a like on it, throw a comment, throw a subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Call down!